Hey, Jarek here, and this is the Femling Design Stagecoach. This thing is massive. I've been affectionately calling it the Super Shotgun Dart Blaster because that's basically what it is. In fact, when you buy this from Out of Darts, you can choose to not have the stock. Then it is just the Doom Super Shotgun. I'm gonna see a lot of people cosplaying with this. And when I say it's massive, I really mean this thing is massive. I mean, the shells are big enough to load in Mega XLs. Yeah, these use the Silly Butts shells. But the best thing about it, you don't need to cut them down because they fit right in. And since it's a double barrel, you can fire both at once. Never gets old. Huge thanks to Out of Darts for sending me this blaster for review. If you want to buy one of these things for yourself, check the link down below in the video information or in a pinned comment. The price is not for the faint of heart, and that's kind of to be expected when you have a project this complicated. If you just want the hardware kit, which gives you the plunger tubes, the springs, all the little metal components on the inside, that's $70, and you'll 3D print all that stuff yourself. If you want everything, so Out of Darts 3D printed all of this stuff, but you have to assemble it yourself, that's $370. And if you want Out of Darts to assemble it for you, that'll be $470. Now, for those of us deep into the hobby, something like this costing that much is not a surprise. But I get a lot of people that aren't really deep into Nerf, or maybe just are into real firearms and happen to stumble across this video. So let me explain why the price for them. First things first, the $100 that you have to pay Out of Darts to assemble it makes total sense. They have employees they need to pay, that's time they are working, they need to be paid for it. So $100 to assemble something that's vaguely complicated is, I would say, worth it if you don't want to bother or you don't want to worry about breaking something yourself. See, I get you people, because when I get something in the mail, I don't want to assemble it. I just want to pull it out of the box and just shoot it. Speaking of, I should probably decompress these springs, which there's one for each barrel. However, it's a double barrel, so you can't really decompress it by just pulling the trigger. You can't do this and pull the trigger either. In fact, if you've opened it, do not pull the trigger. You can do bad things to it, and you don't want to dry fire it. So it will come with these shells that are just dummy shells that will fit in and allow you to not harm your blaster. And I've noticed you can open this enough to eject the shells without it cocking the blaster. Anyway, yeah, the second reason why stuff like this isn't very cheap is because this is a lot of 3D printed parts. And 3D printing is always going to be more expensive than injection mold. If this was a mass-produced product that used injection mold, it would be probably half the price. But the third point that's most important for people that are coming over here that are just into real firearms and don't know a whole lot about Nerf, yes, a real firearm that's a double barrel is a really simple design. You put in the shell, a hammer hits it, it goes boom, and there's just a tube to contain it, and that's all you really need. That's not how this works. You have to find some other way to propel projectiles. In this case, there are two massive plunger tubes, one on each side, one for each barrel. And that airflow has to get around into the barrel. And then you have to find a way to load in your ammo, which in this case is the Silly Butt shells. And then you have to find a way to eject it. And yeah, there are things that are more complicated than this in the Nerf hobby, but you get my point. This is far more complicated than actual firearm, which is amusing. That always seems to go that way. When you get toys that want to replicate a real firearm, they get more complicated. Point being, I always get a lot of comments of people going, holy hell, that's so overpriced, that's so expensive, but it's not that simple. These things are always going to end up costing more, especially when it's a very big 3D printed project. Also, you have to account for all the hours it took even designing this to begin with before we get to the 3D printing stage. But enough about that, let me just talk about this. I have been having so much fun testing this thing out, just shooting it down my hallway. I mean, it's a double barrel shotgun. Am I not going to have fun with it? I got this thing in gold and blood red. Yes, that's the actual color of the red. I love how this thing looks. It is just gorgeous. I need to find more space on my wall because this is definitely going to be hung up. It's 3D printed to make it look like it has all these fake engravings like what you would see on an old-fashioned double barrel. There's a word for these engravings, but it's leaving my mind at the moment. It just looks good, man. Look, this is just a really pretty blaster. But none of that means anything if it's not really that good, and then it's just a very expensive paperweight. Thankfully, that is not the case. How is the actual experience shooting it, aside from obviously fun? Well, right about here is the center of the weight, which does make it a little bit front heavy. I didn't notice it too much, but this is not a light blaster, to say the least. So your offhand might get a little bit tired. On top of that, of course, this is a double barrel, so the action of opening it, which is this lever here, like any other double barrel, this is priming it. So that might get you a little bit tired after shooting all day long as well. Hasn't really bothered me, but I can't really see this being made for the younger children. It's just going to be too heavy, and the prime is probably going to be a little bit too much. Personally, for what these springs are, this prime is actually not bad at all. Like, it's pretty easy to prime. And you have to get used to priming it because that action is going to eject the shells as well. There's a spring tab in here. You can barely see it. It does with, it'll lock it in place. You can see it moving. So that has primed both of these now. I'm gonna put the other one in here so I can decompress the springs. That spring is just gonna launch them out. Now, one concern I did have when I first got this is that the priming arm is this arm down here, and that is 3D printed. However, I am very surprised at how sturdy this is. I was really concerned that priming it over and over and over again was going to snap this rod. But the design, having two different moving pieces, and I think there has to be some metal or something in here, there has to be something supporting it, it feels very solid. I don't know how this was made. To be honest, there may or may not be something in there, but I'm not really worried about it breaking. As you probably noticed, I have this set up to fire left barrel, right barrel. So each trigger is assigned to a barrel. This is set up for a right-handed user as well. There's 4 configurations you can set up for this blaster. Right-handed, 1 trigger on each barrel. You can have the same thing, but flip the trigger, so for a left-handed person, or you can have it set up so that this trigger, the front trigger, fires the left barrel, and the right trigger, the back trigger, fires both barrels. Personally, I think that's how it should be set up out of the box. I mean, let's be real, if you're buying a double barrel, you're wanting to fire both barrels at the same time. And you could do that with the way it's set up, and it's honestly not that hard, but it's just nicer to pull one trigger and let both barrels go. And you could still fire each barrel individually if you wanted to, because this would fire the left one, so no spring is compressed on this side, then this would only fire the right one regardless. So I don't really know why it's not set up like that by default, but it is a pretty simple change anyway. You just take the side panel off of the grip and replace the spring that makes this trigger come back forward with a plastic piece that then combines them and connects them basically, so that when you pull this one, it will also pull the other. If you want to know how to do that, I will redirect you to Out of Darts for brevity of this video. It would be very long if I start tearing it down to do that. I don't have the plastic piece that I needed for it, so that's why I didn't do it, but Out of Darts has a good video showing you how you can do that. It's not the end of the world. When I noticed I didn't have that piece, I just kind of shrugged and went, whatever, I can still fire both barrels at the same time. Oh, also important to mention, when you get this out of the box, the stock will not be attached to this. Very easy to install, it's just this pin here and this pin here. Click those in place, and then take the 3D printing piece and slip it over. You'll be able to figure it out, so don't worry about it. Now with the sights, I would complain about, but I mean, come on, it's a double barrel. Those have to be like this. Also, you're probably going to be firing multiple projectiles at once. Who cares about extremely precise irons? As I mentioned, this blaster takes the massive silly butts shells, so I got a lot of chrono results for you guys. I put everything through my chrono that I possibly could, wrote it all down here, so let's get to it. When I chronoed a full-length dart, I got 120 to 130 FPS. When I chronoed a half-length dart, I got the same 120 to 130. When I chronoed a 50 cal foam ball, again, the same 120 to 130. End series, interestingly enough, shot a little bit weaker at around 105 feet per second. Rival balls were shooting at 85 to 90 feet per second. Ultra darts were shooting at around 120, which surprised me. That's pretty hard for Ultra. Boomco darts, yeah, I remember those things. They were shooting at about 95 feet per second, but something about them felt like they were shooting much harder. Maybe it was the sound they made, because it's like you're hucking straws down a hallway. Mega darts were shooting at about 100 to 110 feet per second, which is pretty darn good for megas. And Mega XLs were shooting at 55 to 60 feet per second, which is the sweet spot to let them whistle, and I always appreciate that. But there's one major advantage to a double barrel that a pump action cannot give you, and that's the ability to put basically anything into the barrel. It doesn't need to go into a magazine tube, it doesn't need to cycle, it just needs to go in, shoot, and then pop out, which is why you saw me shooting full-length Mega XLs. And it also lets you do this. This is a sniper shell. I've got some chrono readings with this thing, and they really surprised me, kind of, actually not much at all. When I chronoed the sniper shell with full-length darts, I was getting 170 feet per second. That's a good 50 FPS harder. When I chronoed half-length darts, it was around the same at 175. And when I chronoed the 50 caliber foam balls, I found they made a really good seal, and I was getting 190 feet per second. Barrel length matters. Who would have thought? Shouldn't be too surprising when you see the base shells. These are basically the barrel for the shotguns. Just that, and then it's an open tube after that. And then you get this. That bit of extra barrel makes a massive difference. Now there's only so much science I can do here. That's about 20, 25-ish feet away, which is perfect range for this. If you're firing 16 darts at a time, yeah, anyone standing at the end of the hallway is going to get tagged. So, perfect ranges. I'm sure you just want to see this thing shooting, but I do have one test I want to do. These sniper shells, as you saw in the chrono, make a huge difference. But how much more accuracy does it give it? Well, I got the sniper shells and the regular elite shells. I'm gonna put Worker Gen 3 heavies in here. Already got them in there. Same dart for both shells, and let's just see the accuracy. Okay, so I was holding these sights just above the center target. The first one swerved off and missed, the second one hit the target as it was supposed to, so a little bit of variation. Let's try the sniper shells. It's such a weird experience loading in this long barrel. Yeah, I think that adds a bit of accuracy. The darts that time weren't just kind of going in the direction. Now, to be fair, this is only about 25 feet away-ish. So even the regular shells are going to be fairly accurate, but those are only about 3-inch targets, so you can miss those pretty easily if there's any deviation at all of the darts. And again, these shells, I'm going to try to get these out without launching them. Ah, screw it, let's just launch them. There they go. That actually landed on my foot, that didn't feel good. This little bit of extra barrel adds a lot of velocity, and that alone is gonna do some stuff for your accuracy, but it also just, you know, makes it a little more accurate. Who would have thought adding some barrel makes your blaster more accurate? Crazy. Anyway, I'm gonna show you guys what you actually want to see. Both these barrels firing at the same time. First up, I have an Ultra Dart. This is a screamer, so you should hear it scream. So I'm going to pair it with a Mega Dart that also should scream. I'm just gonna fire them both at once. Now just two AccuStrike Megas. Now two Mega XLs, these should also whistle through the air. Now we got 4 50 cal foam balls and some rival balls. Got 3 N series darts and 3 elite darts. These are actually Adventure Force bamboos, or Adventure Force waffle heads, sorry, but whatever. They're all going down range, don't matter. And now we got a blast from the past, a bunch of Boomco darts, 4 in this one, 3 in this one, all going down range at the same time. I like the noise these make. like he just launched straws down the hallway. We really didn't know how good we had it. Those darts were way better than we gave them credit for back then. Okay, but now we just got 8 bamboo darts in here. Same in this one. 16 bamboo darts going down range. It's a lot to fire at once. It doesn't have great velocity when you're firing that many, but who cares? That's fun. You can always load less of them if you're worried about your velocity, but come on, you can't tell me that wasn't cool. All right, let's swap to another angle, just shooting down the hallway at the camera. So how do I feel about the super shotgun? I love it. I love Doom. Doom is awesome. How do I feel about the Stagecoach? I feel the same exact way. It gives that same feeling I had when I was firing the Breacher, except for now I'm firing 16 darts instead of 8. And that is so much fun. This thing is amazingly over the top. It's exactly my style of blaster. Yeah, it's a simple design, at least in concept, but what you get is a over the top, huge barreled, huge shelled blaster that can fire a million projectiles at once, or just very big projectiles. It's the all-in-one just have fun tool. Huge thanks to Out of Darts for sending this my way. Again, if you want to get one of these for yourself, check the link down below in the video information and the pinned comment. If you want to check out some of my other content, it's here right on the screen. I also have a gaming channel over there. That's my main channel, honestly. I spend most of my time on that one. I just make a bunch of reviews and a bunch of in-depth content of first-person shooters, if that's your thing. Here's a playlist of all the Nerf stuff. If that's your thing, you're here, so it's probably your thing. Give it a go. Subscribe if you like my stuff. I'll see you next time.